Hi, I'm Alicia Main. I help animals heal their behavior, health, and end-of-life issues naturally. And I assist them in helping their humans heal their hearts. I am the animal healer. Oh, and did I mention, I'm not usually in the room, state, or country that they're located in when we do our sessions. Join me weekly for Animal Healer TV Live as we explore quantum reality and learn just what's possible in helping animals and humans heal their behaviors, health, and hearts through the quantum energy field. Hey everybody, welcome to Animal Healer TV. I'm super excited today. We are going to Utah and we are meeting with equine behaviorist and Mustang expert Wes Taylor and his horse Diesel. Now I know nothing about Diesel, that he's 16 and that they've been together for 12 years. I don't know where Diesel's from. I don't know what their experiences have been. I know nada. So Wes, thank you, and Diesel and Cami for being here, and share with me a little bit about your background, who you are, the kind of work that you do, and then we'll kind of get into understanding what would you like to take a look at today with Diesel.
Sure, thank you. My background has been primarily and almost exclusively working with Mustangs for the last 15 years. The first 5 of those, I was kind of doing it, I'll just describe it as the hard way. I didn't really know how and what I was doing real well. And over the years, I really got in tune with the science and really understanding how the autonomic system of the horse works, their stress and anxiety responses in relationship to their ability to learn or be relaxed during training sessions. So then I spent 10 years really kind of perfecting training based on the autonomic system of creating internal mental safety with the horse versus doing training of, techniques or steps 1, 2, 3. So that's really where I've been working a lot, focusing on creating safety and then, down regulating the horse, getting the horse to a space of calm and relax so that they can engage and learn.
Awesome. So you got a lot of experience with horses, with wild horses, and recognizing. So if everything is energy and everything is connected, the horses understand what quantum entanglements are, which Einstein said was spooky action at a distance. I don't think that the animals find it so spooky. I think they find it quite relieving on a lot of levels. So you're going to be able to share with us. You've got a really good eye and a really good feel for the baseline of your horse, what he normally does, and what he might do as we go through this session. Okay. What is kind of the base of, hey, I've noticed this or I've seen this, and this is really what I want to understand from him. What is he experiencing?
Right from the very beginning when I first got Mustang Diesel as a wild Mustang, when he first come here to the ranch, a long time ago, but I just noticed he was very aloof. Like he wasn't really all that much about kind of engaging or, wanting to in a sense. And over the years, he's definitely been through different versions of my training and my learning. And he's really kind of been on about a 5-year kind of vacation is the best way I describe it. So I know all about his intro. He's just aloof. Like he's just would rather not. That's a lot of his energy. Now that doesn't mean you can't engage him and get him to participate, but his mojo, that's kind of where he prefers to be. So that's more of kind of where I'm at. Is like, well, what's behind that, or what can I do to help foster something different than that?
Okay. And does he have is there any particular place that you notice that in his body more than any other? Does he have any kind of lameness or anything that you're like, this concerns me about his physical body? Is there any area that you in particular are like, could we find out from him?
Yeah, and I'm going to describe it as not being a physical, definitely an energetic. So touching his face has always been he's been a pretty hard no about that. And I've worked with him in the last few months here to do some dewormer, some different things. I took some extra time and kind of dove into that, and I definitely made some progress. But that is where I find he's the most, being touched around his muzzle and just down around his mouth area. He's been really resistant and just kind of reactive to that. Okay?
So when I do these sessions, everything is based on what the horses and the dogs and the cats have taught me of different points on the body that they want touched touched. And it's just a system that they created that I just follow. And really what we're working with is fascia tissue release. So fascia tissue sits right underneath the skin. There are points that I touch to see if they're stuck or tight fascia tissue. This is a natural science lab. So I'm not projecting anything to the animal. I'm just literally asking them if I have their permission to touch their bodies, even though we're going through energy and quantum entanglements, to see if they respond to it and to see what the responses are. And I will also be using telepathic communication, not to ask the horse to do anything, but simply what is their experience of what's taking place in their bodies. So what's going to happen right now is I'm going to use my thumbs and I'm going to ask Diesel, I'm going to put my thumbs right at the top of his nostrils. And I'm going to ask him, do I have his permission for touch? I know I have West's, but it's always really important to get the animal's permission, because even at long distances, and we're probably at least like 400-ish miles, maybe more from each other, they require permission even at long distances, right? So I'm just going to gently make contact with the top of Diesel's nostrils, and I'm just asking him, is this okay with you? I know you're sensitive in your face. I know we're several hundred miles away, but can I put my fingers on your face? And just getting him a sense of this is what it's going to feel like. So as I'm asking him and I'm like, buddy, is it okay? Like, are you going to be comfortable enough with this that I can, touch the rest of your body this way? I just got a yes. So when I touch nostrils, we're a tiny bit now compressed down on the right side, right nostril, tiny bit compressed down on the left, tiny bit popped up on the right. So I'm just going to gently work with the fascia tissue. It's kind of like a cotton candy like substance, and I'm just going to release there so that fascia tissue releases. Fascia tissue, since it sits right under the skin, it's everywhere in the body, everywhere. It covers everything. There is no place where fascia tissue is not. It covers the bones, the muscles, the organs, tendons, ligaments, the fat, everything. So when we work with fascia tissue and we can release it for the animal, we can often have, let's just say, a bigger bang for our buck if we're trying to help find out what's going on with them and if they have unrecognized pain. All right, so that now is released and balanced. Now I'm going to go to point 2, which is about 3 inches up on his face, and on the left side we're compressed downward, and on the right side we're popped upward. So I'm just releasing the tissue there, and you can give me your awarenesses, West, anytime you want.
Well, I'm noticing he's licking and chewing right now, so that's a bit of a response from him physically, just in a kind of a down regulation. So attention seems to be kind of left to right, and then he lands in the center here with us, at least with me, kind of in between, but generally he's kind of going back and forth with little moments in the middle.
All right, so now I'm going to go to the third point, which is another about 2 to 3 inches up. So here it almost feels like both points, and I'm going up the midline of the face, and I'm about an inch or two off the midline. Here it feels like the tissue is pulled outward. And to me, in terms of behavior, if I was going to go to touch a horse like that, they're going to have a little bit more of a challenge when I come at their face, because the energy is going to be more diffuse. So they're going to be a little bit more like, I'm not sure yet if I want you to touch me. So let's see what happens. I'm going to release it from being stuck sort of like in an outward position. Let's see if it releases and it kind of goes back into midline for him. He's like, this is when someone comes at me, he goes, the energy disperses because it doesn't feel focused. He goes, that's why I get aloof. Okay, now it's starting to relax back inward. So it's aligned, like I want the energy aligned kind of all the way up the whole face. So what'd you notice in him?
He was really attentive when you were talking about that and kind of describing. He was really attentive to us. And then when you talked about kind of releasing, he lowered his head. I saw his weight kind of shift on his hind end. He was kind of rocking his weight around to get comfortable, and his head a little bit.
All right, so now we're going to go up to the next point. So we've got a little compression on the left side downward, and we're popped up a little bit on the right. Okay, so that point now is balanced and opening nice. And I noticed he shook his head a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go up to the fifth point. This point on the face, we're right about here, right about where the nose band would be. So So the right side is compressed down, the left side is popped up, and the tissue is pulled over the midline a little bit. So now he's telling me two things. He goes, I feel like I can breathe better. He goes, and I also feel like I don't have the need to he said the head turning was more like avoidance. He said, now what's starting to happen is I'm getting better circulation in my head. So I feel like I can be a little bit more grounded and focused. And it's not that he's not a focused horse, like under saddle, but like you said, that up close communication, and that touch. We'll see what takes place with this. I feel like he's going to have a lot more capacity, possibly to let you in to touch his face. We'll have to see. All right, now I'm going to go to the 6-point. So I'm kind of right about here on his face. So we got compression on the right side pushed backwards and the left side is pushed forward. That one almost feels to me like as if there was potentially a fracture, like a little bit of a fracture in the bone. I don't think it was broken, but it definitely feels like, oof, that bone feels like it's got a tiny bit of a crack in it at that point. All right, so that's now releasing, and the tension that was held by the fascia tissue to hold the bone in the proper place, that's releasing. So what are you noticing?
I'm seeing him, shift his weight around on his hips more, and his attention is staying longer, kind of here, centered towards me and towards what we're doing here. Less looking around now. It's kind of more of his avoidance, attentive and looking around to kind of see what's going on.
So that is 6-point is unwinding a lot. He's like, we're still holding on that. I'm like, okay, but it's opening. All right, so now I'm going to go to the 7th point. So I'm just a little bit below the eyes, and that point actually feels okay. It just almost feels like with the lymph system, like it just feels, the energy just feels a little clogged. It doesn't feel like it's out of alignment. It doesn't feel like it's compressed or off anywhere. It just feels like it's been holding energy. Okay, so now that what I felt was kind of like clogged energy and puffiness, like that is now starting to drain. And I can tell you from Diesel's perspective, because it's not that I'm trying to avoid, he goes, I don't have very good sensation in my face because things have happened there. So it's sort of more like from his perspective, he said, I was feeling like somewhat of a numbness. So he said, I can't always tell and I can't always feel people's intention as clearly because I feel like I've been numb. So it's easier for me to avoid it than it is for me to face it. So again, don't know what will happen. Just sharing with you, this is exactly what Diesel has to say about it. All right, now I'm going to go into the corners of his eyes. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Like, have you had any gut feelings about any of it?
Makes sense as far as just engaging with him, even out in the pasture or whatever. He's aware of everything, but when the pressure kind of comes on, he's like, yeah, I'll just leave. He's just more like, and like I said, if he's just confused or not able to feel that, leaving feels better. It's just easier to feel. So he's like, I'll just move away.
Safer. Okay, so now I'm in the corners of his eyes. The right side is compressed downward in the tissue and the fascia tissue. The left side is pulled upward. So I'm just releasing that so we get it back to even. So where it was stuck, I'm just letting it release. The right side popped right back up. The left side is just still a little bit stuck. So I'm just holding there and I'm not sending energy. I am not doing Reiki. This is not a generalized, I'm literally just touching the points for him, touching his tissue, and then he is feeling it and he's doing whatever releases he needs to do. Okay, so now that left side is starting to move, the energy starting to move and it's getting unstuck. And so what he said was with that one, it was literally pulling his vision inward a little bit, like towards the nose. Okay, and also he says, oddly, he goes, my left eye has felt like it's pulled upward a little bit. Not that there's anything wrong with his eyeballs or his vision, but the tension in the fascia tissue around the eyes can hold how the eye actually sees. And that's also very tied into like the emotional systems and the psychology as well, because if the tissue is holding something, it's not just that it's a physical issue. It's also going to affect emotionally and psychologically how the animal is able to perceive their world. All right, now I'm going to go to his eyebrow points. So this one's interesting too. The left side is pulled up, the right side is pulled down, and it's pretty significant. Structurally, from the fascia tissue, it's definitely pulling him a little bit off balance in terms of even wanting anybody to touch the face. So let's see what happens when we release that for him. How's he doing with that one?
Yeah, when you first started talking talking about it. Like, he just shot me a glance over here, like what's going on? He just looked right at me, and I was just kind of watching. And then he looked and chewed, kind of put his head down, blinked his eyes again.
Okay, so the right side is coming up, the left side is rebalancing, and that is when the fascia tissue releases, if the bones were held out of place or there was a torque on the bones, well, now all of a sudden everything feels better and it's moving better. He's got way more energy flowing through that face. When I first kind of went to his face, I literally felt like, wow, you don't really feel your face, do you? Okay, so now that just clicked into place. This also runs along, it's kind of like the start of the kidney meridian. Okay, this one, he said, as I'm opening his forehead muscles, he's feeling that like around C2, C3. So there might be something there to take a look at. I don't know. Okay, now as that's opening, he's telling me the back of his jaw has been feeling, and it's probably for a while, he feels more pulled up and back, right side of his mouth, and he feels a little bit more, so he gets tighter upward here and he gets tighter downward here. So we're going to see if this just helps by the end get that jaw feeling. Like, do you feel more balanced in your mouth and in your face? And I'm not saying that it's caused a problem. I'm just giving you the perspective of this is what your horse is telling me he's got happening in his body. All right, so now I'm going to go to the points right in front of the ears. And nice, these are both actually pretty balanced. The right side is a tiny bit lower, left side is a tiny bit up. Does he ever feel to you like he's a little bit caught in his neck more towards the pole? Do you feel like a little stiff? I'm just asking him. He said it's almost like I have a little bit of an issue, slight, not like bad, but he has a little more issue picking up that right front lead if it's like a flying lead change kind of thing. All right, so that's balanced. We're going to the top of his pole. Left side is compressed down just a little. It's rolled and tipped forward a little bit on the right. So we're going to release that. Yeah, and I just keep getting the back right side of my head, like around the occiput and around like C1, C2, C3. All right, there goes his pole. And as soon as his pole went in, he said the right side of my jaw downward instead of pushing upward. And he said the left side of my jaw pushed upward. So he's like, whatever you just did with my pole feels like it balanced my jaw a little bit better. So if you're feeling anything, and Cami might be feeling something too, or anybody that's watching, the reason why I do these unified healing labs is because the horse is willing to allow their body to be released. And if we resonate with any of those things at any of those areas, we could actually be releasing them as well. And that is the natural science that's putting the spirit back in what we understand about the neurosciences. But I always find it fascinating because I'm like, well, neuroscience is really energy. What takes place in the head, the brain is just the processor. The brain is not the first brain. The brain is just the processor. The fascia tissue is the neural network and the web that surrounds every single aspect of the body. So it'll be really fun to hear what shifts for you guys, not just physical, right? Which is what a lot of trainers tend to look at, is the animal moving better? But it'll be really fun to hear, like, so what's taking place for you guys now?
Yeah, no, I could have I'm way more open in the energetic connection now than 5 years ago. It kind of last time he and I did a lot of work together, even longer than that, maybe even 7 years ago. But I'm way more open to it now, and I think that's a good description. That he's kind of been maybe not so much aloof as much as just waiting for me to find my way to where he and I could come back together and continue the journey in this higher energetic space.
Isn't it interesting that that's the only time that Diesel shook when we were talking about like a label, and that he started moving his mouth this much?
Yeah.
And he's looking.
Yeah, I'm standing just right at the camera, right behind it. So yeah.
This is why I do these unified field labs, because we're looking at the entire horse. It is not anything about what I think. It doesn't even matter what I think. What are you, like being Diesel student now, right?
All right.
What are you learning? What are you observing? What are you seeing that might not have been, I don't know if it wasn't present or may have been waiting to be seen that you might be seeing now?
Well, the perspective of it, right? I've just my own label of him being aloof, right? The label that I put on our relationship was, my human side. That was my experiential description. So having an opportunity to look at that under a different lens, from a different angle, from, you know, an intuitive part from you through him, to look at it as like, no, I've not been aloof, I've just been waiting. That's a big deal. You know, that's a life moment for me to just sit with that and be like, oh, all right, well, waiting's good, right? The timing's got to be right in all things. So there hasn't been anything wrong with what's been happening for the last 5 years. It's just been a sense of, you know, me learning and having my experiences that I can be ready for what his next level is to share with me. So that's exciting. I mean, yeah,
That's really exciting.
yeah, that's like, hey, right on. All right, let's go forward with this.
And it's so, I feel like the most amazing part of it is like you are open to that. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
because you're already an awesome trainer. And so the things that happen to you and the what you're able to share, like with your experiences that you've been having, this is so exciting too, to kind of get like, woo, I wonder what you guys are going to show the world.
Yeah, well, and that's as I
You
keep
know?
having, you know, these different breakthroughs with different Mustangs, as I look deeper into me to try to, you know, problem solve or try to see what's going on. You know, I get opened up and I have an enlightening moment, and then that I can always thank whatever horse I'm working with. This one horse named Tuxedo from Colorado, I've been working with quite a bit. Last time I was working with him, I kind of thanked him. I was like, hey, dude, thanks for showing me all of that, because I
Right?
have some other horses that I know need that. You know, so thank you for showing me that, so I can share that the next horse, so that I'm not that I can show it to the horse, but that I'm able to engage at that space with the next horse. So
Well, I am so excited and I can't wait to hear about how your guys' journey is unfolding, because now his fascia tissue is released. He doesn't have to wait anymore. You're not waiting. You guys are hanging out together. And oh my gosh, I hope you film it.
yes, I will. Certainly will. We'll have lots more to talk
Awesome,
about.
awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being part of this. And again, it's a science experiment, right? The
Hey,
best way that I can share the science. I got nothing up my sleeve. I'm not wearing a lab coat. It's not behind closed doors. Like, this is the real live natural science that these animals know. And we're just getting to experience how we open up to remembering that it's our science too.
that's really been my own kind of life, my own life journey the last 10 or so years, is learning about me working with the horses, not so much what can the horses, what can we do, but like me learning about me. So this is another level to lean in, and I love it. It's a great timing, as all things that are, you know, right and good. There is a timing to them, and it does feel like now.
Well, I love that you said that, because you were reading my mind, because I was like, I wish that I could work with you, and at least, so 3 of the mares are mine, and
Yeah.
Wes said they all have a different personality with me, and my personality is like, and I was also looking at them as like, we have the maiden, we have the mother, and we have the matriarch, like all 3 of them. And I've only rode 2. I don't know that I'm prepared to ride the other one. Wes can
That's
ride
okay.
her, but my connection has been standoffish, you know, with the one, and I know that she's had some trauma. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it, so thank
Oh, I'm
you.
so glad. Yeah, so feel free to, you could shoot a video also of what you noticed or what you're aware of. And, you know, let's just keep showing people the bigger picture of what happens when the science of spirit, when we expand the science to include. All right, guys, have a beautiful day. Thank you both so much. Bye, Diesel. Thanks for watching today's episode of Animal Healer TV. We hope you enjoyed it. We love to hear your feedback on what you learned about yourselves and your animals. We'd also love to hear, what issues are you dealing with that you'd most like to see on the show? If you'd like to participate in an episode, please see the link below and share with us the issues that you're having with your animals. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and Insta, and please feel free to share with your friends. Join us next week for another episode of Animal Healer TV, where we will explore quantum reality and see what else is possible in helping animals and humans heal their behaviors, their health, and each other's hearts.